Question 1. What is the primary reason for keeping your finger off the trigger until you are ready to shoot? A. To improve accuracy when aiming. B. To prevent wear and tear on the trigger mechanism. C. To prevent an accidental discharge. D. To signal that the firearm is unloaded. Answer: C. To prevent an accidental discharge. Explanation: keeping your finger outside the trigger guard and off the trigger until your sights are on the target and you are ready to fire is a critical safety rule. This simple action prevents unintended shots that can occur due to surprise, loss of balance, or other unexpected events. An accidental discharge happens when the firearm fires without the operator intending it, and keeping your finger off the trigger is the most effective way to avoid this common cause. Always train yourself to rest your finger along the frame or slide, away from the trigger. Question 2. According to California law, how must a firearm typically be transported in a vehicle? A. Loaded and accessible for self-defense. B. Unloaded and in a locked container. C. Unloaded, but can be anywhere in the vehicle. D. Loaded, but stored in the trunk. Answer: B. Unloaded and in a locked container. Explanation: California law requires that firearms transported in a vehicle be unloaded and stored in a locked container. This rule applies generally to handguns, although specific circumstances like carrying with a valid concealed weapon permit have exceptions. Storing the firearm unloaded and in a locked container ensures it is not readily accessible for immediate use during transport, promoting public safety. Remember, a glove compartment or center console is generally not considered a locked container, unless it is specifically designed for firearm storage and is locked. Question 3. When performing a safe handling demonstration for a California Firearm Safety Certificate, what must you demonstrate regarding the firearm's condition? A. That it is loaded and functional. B. That it is unloaded and safe to handle. C. That it has been recently cleaned. D. That it has a California-approved locking device installed. Answer: B. That it is unloaded and safe to handle. Explanation: the safe handling demonstration required for the Firearm Safety Certificate involves showing proficiency in basic firearm safety procedures, including confirming the firearm is unloaded. You must visually and physically inspect the chamber and magazine well, if applicable, to prove it is empty before handling it further or passing it to the instructor. This demonstration tests your ability to safely handle and verify the condition of a firearm, which is fundamental to preventing accidents. Practicing this check clear procedure until it's second nature is essential. Question 4. What does the term muzzle refer to on a firearm? A. The part you hold onto with your support hand. B. The end of the barrel where the projectile exits. C. The mechanism that ejects spent shell casings. D. The part containing the firing pin. Answer: B. The end of the barrel where the projectile exits. Explanation: the muzzle is the very front end of the firearm's barrel, which is the point from which the bullet or shot leaves the firearm when fired. Controlling the muzzle direction is the absolute most important safety rule because you cannot hit anything that the muzzle is not pointed at. Always knowing where the muzzle is directed is paramount to ensuring it is never pointed at yourself or anyone you do not intend to shoot. Treat the muzzle as if it is always capable of firing, regardless of the firearm's condition. Question 5. According to the 4 primary firearm safety rules, you must always know your target and A. The distance to the target. B. The type of target you are shooting at. C. What is beyond your target. D. The cost of your ammunition. Answer: C. What is beyond your target. Explanation: the 4th safety rule emphasizes being aware of your surroundings, specifically knowing what is in front of, around, and most importantly, behind your intended target. Bullets can travel long distances and penetrate various materials, posing a risk to people or objects unseen behind the target. Before pulling the trigger, you must confirm that your bullet will not harm anything or anyone if it passes through or misses your target. Always consider the potential path and stopping point of your projectile. Question 6. Which action is a crucial part of safely unloading a semi-automatic pistol? A. Keeping your finger on the trigger. B. Removing the magazine before cycling the slide. C. Inserting a loaded magazine after clearing the chamber. D. Pointing the firearm in an unsafe direction. Answer: B. Removing the magazine before cycling the slide. Explanation: to safely unload a semi-automatic pistol, you must first remove the magazine to ensure no more ammunition can be fed into the chamber. After removing the magazine, you must then cycle the slide forcefully to extract any round that might be present in the chamber. Always perform a visual and physical check of both the chamber and the magazine well to confirm the firearm is completely unloaded. Removing the magazine first prevents a new round from being loaded into the chamber when you cycle the slide. Question 7. What is the safest place to store ammunition in a home with children or unauthorized persons? A. On a high shelf in a closet. B. In the same locked container as the firearm. C. Separate from the firearm and preferably in a locked location. D. Anywhere, as ammunition itself is not dangerous. Answer: C. Separate from the firearm and preferably in a locked location. Explanation: while ammunition alone is not inherently dangerous in the same way a loaded firearm is, storing it securely and separately from the firearm adds an extra layer of safety, especially in homes with children or unauthorized individuals. This prevents someone from accessing both the firearm and ammunition simultaneously. Keeping ammunition in a locked container or a secure location separate from the firearm significantly reduces the risk of someone being able to load and fire the weapon. Securely storing both your firearms and ammunition is key to preventing accidents. Question 8. What is the generally accepted safe direction to point a firearm's muzzle indoors? A. Towards the ceiling. B. Towards the floor in a direction where it won't strike feet or bounce. C. Towards a window. D. Towards a hallway or doorway. Answer: B. Towards the floor in a direction where it won't strike feet or bounce. Explanation: indoors, a safe direction is one where an accidental discharge would cause minimal harm and the bullet would be stopped or directed safely. Pointing towards a solid floor, avoiding concrete which can cause dangerous ricochets, or a designated bullet trap ensures that if the firearm were to discharge, the projectile would be contained. Avoid pointing towards ceilings, windows, thin walls, or occupied spaces, as bullets can easily penetrate these surfaces. Always identify a direction in your home that would safely contain a bullet before handling a firearm. Question 9. What is a squib load and why is it dangerous? A. A type of ammunition designed for target practice, not dangerous. B. A round with a defective primer that fails to ignite, not dangerous. C. A round with insufficient powder to expel the bullet from the barrel, dangerous because the bullet can get stuck. D. A round that fires normally but produces excessive smoke, not dangerous. Answer: C. A round with insufficient powder to expel the bullet from the barrel, dangerous because the bullet can get stuck. Explanation: a squib load occurs when a cartridge is fired but has too little powder to push the bullet fully out of the barrel, the bullet becomes lodged partway down the bore. This is dangerous because if another round is fired behind the lodged bullet, the barrel can rupture, causing serious injury to the shooter or bystanders. If a shot sounds or feels unusually weak, pop, instead of bang, stop immediately, unload the firearm, and check the barrel to ensure it is clear before firing again. Recognizing a squib load and knowing what to do is vital range safety. Question 10. When handing a firearm to another person, what must you do first? A. Ensure the magazine is inserted. B. Keep your finger on the trigger. C. Point it upwards or downwards. D. Ensure it is unloaded and the action is open. Answer: D. Ensure it is unloaded and the action is open. Explanation: before handing a firearm to someone, you must make it safe by ensuring it is unloaded and making this condition visible. For most firearms, this means removing the magazine, if applicable, cycling the action to clear the chamber, and locking the slide or bolt open so the other person can easily see the empty chamber. Presenting the firearm in this safe, open condition allows the receiving person to easily verify its unloaded status before taking control. Always confirm a firearm is unloaded and visible before passing it. Question 11. According to California law, if you own a handgun, you must keep it stored in a locked container or disabled with a locking device when not under your immediate control, especially in homes with what? A. Any adult over 21. B. Law enforcement officers. C. Minors or persons prohibited from possessing firearms. D. Other licensed firearm owners. Answer: C. Minors or persons prohibited from possessing firearms. Explanation: California law mandates specific safe storage requirements to prevent access by unauthorized individuals, particularly minors, and individuals legally prohibited from owning firearms. If a firearm is not under the immediate control of the owner or another authorized adult, it must be secured in a locked container or rendered inoperable with a locking device if a minor or prohibited person could access the premises. This law is designed to prevent accidental shootings and unauthorized firearm use by vulnerable or prohibited individuals. Secure storage is a legal requirement and a moral responsibility. Question 12. What is the primary danger of handling a firearm while under the influence of alcohol or drugs? A. It may scratch the finish of the firearm. B. It impairs judgment, coordination, and reaction time. C. It causes the firearm to misfire more often. D. It makes the firearm heavier and harder to hold. Answer: B. It impairs judgment, coordination, and reaction time. Explanation: alcohol and drugs significantly impair a person's physical and mental capabilities, directly impacting their ability to safely handle a potentially dangerous object like a firearm. Impaired judgment can lead to reckless behavior, reduced coordination makes safe manipulation difficult, and slowed reaction time hinders the ability to respond correctly in critical moments. Never handle firearms when you are under the influence of anything that alters your judgment or physical control. Responsible firearm ownership includes never mixing firearms with alcohol or drugs. Question 13. Before cleaning a firearm, what is the most important safety step? A. Gather all your cleaning supplies. B. Field strip the firearm. C. Ensure the firearm is unloaded and free of all ammunition. D. Put on safety glasses. Answer: C. Ensure the firearm is unloaded and free of all ammunition. Explanation: the absolute first step before any maintenance, cleaning, or even just examining a firearm closely is to verify that it is completely unloaded. This means removing the magazine, if applicable, cycling the action to clear the chamber, checking both visually and physically, and ensuring there is no ammunition present in the firearm or in your immediate workspace. Attempting to clean a loaded firearm is extremely dangerous and can lead to accidental discharge. Always verify the firearm is unloaded before you begin any cleaning or maintenance. Question 14. When participating in a shooting activity, what is the primary form of hearing protection recommended? A. Cotton balls in the ears. B. Electronic hearing protection or earplugs. C. Covering your ears with your hands. D. Standing far away from other shooters. Answer: B. Electronic hearing protection or earplugs. Explanation: firearms produce extremely loud noises when fired, loud enough to cause immediate and permanent hearing damage. Proper hearing protection, such as earmuffs specifically designed for shooting or foam earplugs, is essential to protect your hearing. Electronic hearing protection is often preferred as it amplifies normal sounds, like voices, while blocking out dangerously loud gunfire. Always wear appropriate hearing protection every time you are near live gunfire. Question 15. The rule, always treat every firearm as if it were loaded, emphasizes which core safety principle? A. The importance of regular cleaning. B. The need to always use a locking device. C. The necessity of applying all safety rules consistently. D. The fact that all firearms are dangerous. Answer: C. The necessity of applying all safety rules consistently. Explanation: treating every firearm as if it were loaded is a foundational mindset in firearms safety. It means you should always follow all the safety rules, regardless of whether you think the firearm is empty. Even if you just unloaded it, you still point the muzzle in a safe direction, keep your finger off the trigger, and keep it pointed safely. This constant vigilance ensures that even if there is a mistake and the firearm is actually loaded, you are still handling it safely. Develop the habit of following all the rules every time, with every firearm. Question 16. In California, the Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, is required to purchase or acquire a firearm, with some exceptions. How long is an FSC generally valid? A. 1 year. B. 2 years. C. 5 years. D. 10 years. Answer: C. 5 years. Explanation: a California Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, is generally valid for a period of 5 years from the date of issuance. The FSC demonstrates that the individual has passed a written test covering basic firearm safety laws and principles. You must possess a valid FSC to purchase or acquire a firearm in California, unless you qualify for a specific exemption. Keep track of your FSC expiration date if you plan on acquiring firearms in the future. Question 17. What is a safe action firearm feature? A. A manual safety lever that must be engaged to fire. B. A system that prevents the firearm from firing unless the trigger is intentionally pulled. C. A mechanism that automatically unloads the firearm after each shot. D. A device that tracks the number of rounds fired. Answer: B. A system that prevents the firearm from firing unless the trigger is intentionally pulled. Explanation: safe action refers to internal safety mechanisms, common on certain types of pistols, that prevent the firearm from firing unless the trigger is fully depressed. These systems often incorporate multiple internal safeties that are disengaged sequentially only by the act of pulling the trigger. This design helps prevent accidental discharges that could occur from dropping the firearm or snagging the trigger. Understanding the safety features of your specific firearm is crucial for safe handling. Question 18. When storing a firearm in a locked container at home, where should the key or combination be kept? A. Hidden somewhere accessible only to the owner. B. Attached to the container for easy access. C. In a common area for anyone in the household to find. D. Given to the children so they know where it is. Answer: A. Hidden somewhere accessible only to the owner. Explanation: the purpose of a locked container is to prevent unauthorized access to the firearm, particularly by minors or prohibited persons. To maintain this security, the key or combination must be kept in a location only known and accessible to the authorized firearm owner. Keeping the key or combination with the container or in an easily discoverable location defeats the purpose of the lock. Securely storing the means of accessing the firearm is as important as securing the firearm itself. Question 19. What is the first thing you should do if a firearm fails to fire when the trigger is pulled, misfire, or click? A. Immediately open the action to check the chamber. B. Point the muzzle in a safe direction and wait a short time. C. Pull the trigger again forcefully. D. Hand the firearm to someone else to inspect. Answer: B. Point the muzzle in a safe direction and wait a short time. Explanation: if a firearm makes a click sound but doesn't fire, it could be a delayed ignition, a hangfire, where the primer ignites but the powder takes a moment longer to burn. Pointing the muzzle in a safe direction and waiting for at least 30 to 60 seconds is crucial because the round could still fire after a delay. Only after waiting should you safely attempt to unload the firearm, keeping it pointed safely. Never immediately open the action or attempt to fire again, as this could be dangerous if it's a hang fire. Question 20. What should you do if you encounter a firearm in an unexpected location? A. Pick it up immediately to make it safe. B. Leave it undisturbed and notify an adult or law enforcement. C. Check if it is loaded by pulling the trigger. D. Show it to your friends. Answer: B. Leave it undisturbed and notify an adult or law enforcement. Explanation: if you find a firearm unexpectedly, especially in a public or unsecured location, the safest action is to leave it exactly where it is and immediately notify a responsible adult or law enforcement officer. Do not touch or attempt to handle the firearm, as you do not know its condition, loaded, unloaded, functional, etc., or how to safely handle it. This rule applies to everyone, especially children, teaching them to never touch a found firearm but instead tell a trusted adult. Question 21. What is the main safety concern with using incorrect ammunition for your firearm? A. It may not chamber properly. B. It can cause damage to the firearm or injury to the shooter. C. It might be more expensive than the correct ammunition. D. It can make the firearm harder to clean. Answer: B. It can cause damage to the firearm or injury to the shooter. Explanation: using ammunition that is not the correct caliber or gauge for your specific firearm can be extremely dangerous. Incorrect ammunition may not fit properly, could cause excessive pressure upon firing, or might not extract correctly, potentially damaging the firearm or causing catastrophic failure leading to severe injury. Always double-check that the caliber or gauge marked on the ammunition box exactly matches the caliber or gauge stamped on your firearm's barrel. Question 22. When handling a firearm, where should your finger rest besides on the trigger? A. On the grip below the trigger guard. B. Inside the trigger guard but not touching the trigger. C. Along the frame or slide, outside the trigger guard. D. On the muzzle. Answer: C. Along the frame or slide, outside the trigger guard. Explanation: the rule, keep your finger off the trigger until ready to shoot, is best accomplished by resting your trigger finger along the side of the firearm's frame or slide. This position keeps your finger straight, outside the trigger guard, and away from the trigger itself. This physical discipline reinforces the mental commitment to only place your finger on the trigger when your sights are aligned on the target and you have made the decision to fire. Make it a consistent practice to keep your finger in this safe resting position. Question 23. The California Safe Handling Demonstration requires the buyer to safely handle the firearm and show knowledge of basic safety laws. What is one action that must be demonstrated? A. Firing the firearm accurately. B. Cleaning the firearm. C. Loading and unloading the firearm safely. D. Disassembling the firearm completely. Answer: C. Loading and unloading the firearm safely. Explanation: a key component of the safe handling demonstration for the FSC is proving you can safely load and unload the specific type of firearm you are acquiring. This involves demonstrating that you know how to insert and remove a magazine, if applicable, cycle the action to chamber or extract a round, and visually and physically check that the chamber and magazine well are clear of ammunition. Being able to safely load and unload is fundamental to all other safe handling procedures. Question 24. If you need to temporarily set down an unloaded firearm, where should you place it? A. Anywhere convenient as long as it's unloaded. B. Pointed towards a safe direction where an accidental discharge would be harmless. C. on its side with the action closed. D. On the floor with the muzzle pointing upwards. Answer: B. Pointed towards a safe direction where an accidental discharge would be harmless. Explanation: even when you believe a firearm is unloaded, you must always treat it as though it could fire. Therefore, when setting it down, you must ensure the muzzle is directed towards a safe backstop or direction where a potential discharge would cause no injury or significant property damage. Never become complacent just because you think the firearm is empty. Continue to follow the muzzle rule at all times. Maintain safe muzzle control even when the firearm is resting. Question 25. What should you do if a firearm malfunctions, e.g., failure to feed, eject, or fire, while you are handling it? A. Throw the firearm away from yourself. B. Attempt to fix it immediately by pulling the trigger multiple times. C. Keep the muzzle pointed in a safe direction and attempt to clear the malfunction safely. D. Hand the firearm to someone else to look at. Answer: C. Keep the muzzle pointed in a safe direction and attempt to clear the malfunction safely. Explanation: if a firearm malfunctions, the most critical safety step is to maintain control of the muzzle and keep it pointed in a safe direction throughout the clearing process. Attempting to fix a malfunction requires manipulating the firearm, and maintaining safe muzzle direction ensures that if the malfunction involves a round that could fire, it will discharge safely. Learn basic malfunction clearing procedures for your firearm type, but always prioritize keeping the muzzle pointed safely during the process. Question 26. What does the term action refer to on a firearm? A. The gripping surface of the firearm. B. The sequence of events when the firearm is fired. C. The operating mechanism that loads, fires, and unloads the cartridge. D. The legal process of acquiring a firearm. Answer: C. The operating mechanism that loads, fires, and unloads the cartridge. Explanation: the action of a firearm is the mechanical assembly that loads a cartridge into the chamber, locks the breech, the rear part of the barrel, fires the cartridge when the trigger is pulled, and extracts/ejects the spent casing or unfired cartridge. Understanding how the action works on your specific firearm is essential for safe loading, unloading, and clearing procedures. Being familiar with your firearm's action helps you know how to safely verify if it is unloaded. Question 27. If you are legally carrying a concealed firearm and are contacted by law enforcement, what should you do? A. Immediately draw the firearm and show your permit. B. Inform the officer you are carrying and follow their instructions carefully. C. Deny possessing a firearm. D. Remain silent and do not mention the firearm. Answer: B. Inform the officer you are carrying and follow their instructions carefully. Explanation: while specific requirements vary by state and agency policy, the safest and generally recommended course of action when legally carrying a concealed firearm and contacted by law enforcement is to calmly inform the officer that you are a permit holder and are currently carrying a firearm. Then, keep your hands visible and follow all instructions given by the officer precisely. This transparency helps ensure the officer's safety and de-escalates the interaction. Question 28. The rule, always keep your firearm unloaded until ready to use, means: A. Only load your firearm immediately before you intend to shoot at a specific target. B. Keep your firearm unloaded at all times when not at a shooting range. C. Load your firearm only when you are actively carrying it. D. Store your firearm unloaded and separate from ammunition. Answer: A. Only load your firearm immediately before you intend to shoot at a specific target. Explanation: this safety rule dictates that a firearm should only be loaded when you have a defined target and are prepared to fire. For self-defense purposes while carrying, this rule is interpreted as loading only when the firearm is secured on your person or under your immediate control. When not in use or under your direct, immediate control, the firearm should be unloaded and stored securely. This prevents negligent discharges when handling or storing the firearm. Question 29. Why is eye protection important when shooting? A. It helps you see the target more clearly. B. It protects your eyes from ejected shell casings, gunpowder residue, or debris. C. It is a legal requirement for owning a firearm. D. It prevents your eyes from getting tired. Answer: B. It protects your eyes from ejected shell casings, gunpowder residue, or debris. Explanation: eye protection, such as shooting glasses or safety glasses, is crucial because shooting activities involve risks to the eyes. Ejected shell casings can fly unexpectedly, hot gunpowder residue can be blown back, and fragments or debris can be generated from the target or backstop. Wearing eye protection shields your eyes from these potential hazards and prevents serious injury. Always wear appropriate eye protection when shooting or observing shooting activities. Question 30. What is the term for the rear part of the barrel or chamber where the cartridge is inserted? A. The muzzle. B. The forestock. C. The breech. D. The magazine well. Answer: C. The breech. Explanation: the breech is the rear portion of the barrel where the cartridge is inserted into the chamber before firing. The breech is then sealed or locked by the bolt or slide to contain the pressure generated when the cartridge is fired. Understanding the breech and chamber area is important for safely loading, unloading, and verifying the condition of the firearm. Always check the breech and chamber visually and physically to ensure a firearm is unloaded.